So this is another series talking about celebrity news. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Great, man. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
So we saw what was going on with Aretha Franklin, and we thought you were the right person to come and talk to about this because it sounds like it's something that should have been in the movie. Like it's so crazy, and you can't make it up. Can you help us make sense of it? What exactly is happening?
Yeah. It does seem like it would come out of Hollywood, but it really did happen. And it's in my home state of Michigan, which I always still have a fondness for, even a personal connection to one of the lawyers who was representing the family. But basically what happened is after Aretha Franklin died, family members were looking through and they found some different handwritten notes. There was a will from 2010, but then there was this handwritten note that was found in a couch cushion that was also looked like it might be a will, and she even signed her name. She put a smiley face in the A to show you how informal this document was. And it differed a little bit from the other 2010 will. So, the people, some of the family members would have benefited from the 2010 will and some from the 2014 note that was in the couch cushion. So they had a disagreement about it, and it actually went to a trial where a jury could decide, is this handwritten note with a smiley face on it found in the couch cushion, is that going to control her millions of dollars worth of estate and royalties and all the money for RESPECT and everything else into perpetuity? Is this document found on the couch going to determine who gets that money? And the answer was yes, it is. So it was a crazy story, but the jury said that, even though it was found on the couch cushion, even though it was just written by hand, not by a lawyer, not typed up, and even though she basically signed her name with an emoji, it was still considered valid and superseded 2010 will. So that was the ruling that just came down, I believe, last week.
So is that normal? Is that typical that the most recent document will supersede the previous document?
Yeah, so there's a lot of lessons from the case that I think could apply to regular people who haven't written, hit songs in their life, who aren't, the queen. Yeah, so the general rule is if you have a will and you do a new will, the old will has now been replaced and superseded. So that's the first lesson to take, is that if you do a new will, like, the old will is now gone. It doesn't exist. It's been nullified by your action, because you can only have one will at a time.
Okay.
You can have a codicil, which is a document that amends your will, but you can only have one will. And the most recent one that's valid is the one that's going to control. So normally I tell people, if you do a new will, just destroy the old wills so there's no ambiguity. But she didn't do that. There was ambiguity. There was uncertainty. So they had, years of fights, and I can only imagine how many legal fees to get to this point where this note in the couch became the law of her estate.
Yeah. Okay. So people thought that maybe because I heard it might have been handwritten. I think it was handwritten.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And so people thought that maybe it was a forgery or something like that because it would benefit other individuals, as you said. And, maybe it was a plant. And so this reminds me of, back in the day when you would open a bank account. I think you still do it. We have like a signature card, you know, to show, oh no, this is what my signature looks like. So that when you go to the bank, not that they do it, but when you go to the bank, they're like, wait a minute, this is Mr. Stewart's signature right here. This doesn't look right. So uh, do you feel like that was something that would come into play there, like for a crazy case like this, where they're trying to authenticate whether or not it was her? Do you think they had like a handwriting expert come into the courtroom?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't follow it super closely to know, if they had a handwritten expert that came in. I mean, that has come up in my cases. I've had to hire handwriting experts where we've said, oh, the deed to this house was forged. So that's something that you can do. I mean, they're private people that you have to pay for their time, but they examine the signatures. The lesson for you're doing your will, you have your estate that you're trying to hand down. The less, in DC or Virginia or Maryland, you need to be signing it in front of two witnesses. So hypothetically, there are two people that say, hey, yeah, this person signed it in front of me and it's the person they said it was. So that's why there's that requirement that hopefully at least one of the witnesses is still alive and available to say, hey, this was them in real life that did that. A lot of people think that wills need to be notarized, but they actually don't. That's not a requirement of a will. So it's just the two witnesses. So you don't get in this situation where there's a fight over it, because, you know, and ideally it's not handwritten. Ideally it's typed up and by a lawyer and stored in a safe place and not your couch. I can't even imagine how this could happen, that she could have it in her couch cushions. Was it something she wrote on a whim and just left it and it fell out and went in her couch cushions? Was it she thought it was safe there? I honestly have no idea. I mean, people always ask me where they should put it. I've never said put it in the couch. But it's still, you know, if someone finds it and it purports to be a will and it's signed by her and it has all the right, you know, it has some of those things, even if she signed it with a smiley face, even if it's in the couch, if it's anywhere, it could be sitting, yeah, it could be in the medicine cabinet, it could be, as long as somebody finds it, you know, it could be considered valid. So it just made a crazy situation, but it met the test of, at least in Michigan, to that jury, that it was a valid will.
Right. So I was going to ask you about that. So so the steps to making sure that your will is established properly is have it typed up, procured by a lawyer, and it does not need to be notarized, and have two witnesses.
That's correct. And you want it to be stored somewhere that people could find it. I've had numerous cases where people can't find the original, and you can get a copy through, but it's a lot of work. So you really want to have the original. And you want
What do you recommend? Like, what are good places? Where are some good places to store a will once you've already gone through those other steps?
Well, number one, you want to tell people where it is. You know, wherever you keep important documents, where do you keep your birth certificate? Where do you keep your, you know, marriage license? Where do you keep your whatever, all of your passport? I would put it in that situation. I wouldn't put it in a safe where there's, unless other people know the combination. You know, it could be a safe with a key if you give someone you trust the key. But you just sometimes have to go to court to get an order to open a safe if no one can open it. So so yeah, just wherever you keep your documents in your house somewhere. I don't generally store original wills for clients for a variety of reasons. So I have it on them to store it, and hope and just keep, you know, make sure you know where it is and other people know where it is and nobody's going to take it.
Okay, and so it's 2023 now,
Mm-hmm.
age of all things digital, right? And it's increasing.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting rid of paper, you are scanning driver's licenses, you're doing Apple Pay, all this kind of crap.
Yeah.
We're trying to move away from physical documents.
Right.
So would you recommend, or is it legally binding and recognized if they were to scan a copy of that will and then save it to the cloud or email it to themselves, which is still the cloud?
Yeah. So I always scan the wills when I do the signings at my office. So I have a digital copy and I send it back to the clients. That would still be considered a copy. So you would have to go through the process of, you can't use abbreviated probate DC. You got to do a standard probate, which takes longer. You have to track down the witnesses and you have to make an argument for why the will wasn't found. You know, you have to say it was because if a person destroys their own will, that's a legally binding act that says, I'm destroying this will, I no longer want it to be valid, and that will is no longer valid. So the court is going to presume that you destroyed it unless your heirs can come up with a reason why, oh, there was a fire in the house and it destroyed the will, or oh, there was flooding and it destroyed the will, or oh, somebody, you know, there has to be a reason to get a copy in. So you can scan it. I recommend doing that, but it's you really want to have the original available to people.
Yeah, and I say this partially in jest because I think it's goofy to not have a driver's license and all these other things. Because hey, you know what? Your phone could die. You could lose it.
Right.
Shut down or something like that.
Yeah.
Not leaving the house with a freaking wallet or a purse. You know, just having Apple Pay. To me, it doesn't make sense. But I'm a dinosaur. So what I'm hearing you say is if somebody puts the will in Dropbox and then they destroy the original, and then the family member says, "Well, hey, I have it right here on my phone," in court, that's not good.
No, no. So the legal system is also a dinosaur. So I don't want any
Not
judges
having it.
dinosaurs in case any judges are watching, but judges are kind of dinosaurs as well. No offense to any watching this clip, but so no, they would say, no, the guy destroyed it. Your Dropbox will is useless. It's not worth the monthly fee you pay to Dropbox to keep it. It's it's gone. It's just it's a hypothetical now. It's not valid. So don't destroy your will. So that reminds me of another thing. Sometimes people write on the originals. They'll like cross things out or write notes, and don't do that. You can write on a copy, but don't write on your original will, please. I've seen it, and it makes things hard.
Yeah, I don't know if you
Keep it pristine,
Okay, keep it after you finished it. Don't write on it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if you have watched Succession, but that was a big deal on that show where the father, he had some lines. He had a name and he had a line, and you couldn't tell if the line was to highlight the name or to cross out the name. Yeah, and a good amount of an episode and some subsequent time was spent around whether or not he was appointing this child or saying, I don't want this child to have any access to this empire. So yeah, don't mess with the wills after you have.
Right. You don't want to create ambiguity. You don't want to make uncertainty, because uncertainty is what lawyers get paid to resolve. So you don't want everyone to have to spend thousands of dollars on lawyers to say, where was that line? Was that line below the name or through the name? Is that a highlighter? Is that no, you don't want that situation. That's going to take a lot of time, and it's going to drain the money that you work so hard for in your life. It's just going to go to lawyers. So let's leave it clear, and everyone will be better off.
I like it, man. You can't hack a sheet of paper,
No.
So nobody will be coming with these wills on their phones, pull them up from Gmail or anything like that. I love it. So happy you say that.
Yeah. At least for now, 30 years from now, maybe it'll be in the cloud. But as of today, in 2023, we're still the same technology from old England. I'm sure we're using. So yeah, paper, pen and paper, and ink and paper. That's what it is.
Yeah,
right. True.
Ink and paper, because don't write it.
No. Yes, ink from a printer, not ink from your pen.
I got it. So just to close out, how could all of this have been avoided? What could Queen Aretha have done to have avoided all of these years of fighting over her estate?
Well, there's a lot of things we could do, and it's interesting. We've talked about Chadwick Boseman. Prince had a similar thing where he didn't have a will. You have these people that amass great wealth, amass great cultural relevance and achievement,
right,
and then they die, and it's like, whoa, where was that hard work and drive and foresight and like being ahead of the curve? Like, you didn't apply it to your own stuff. So it must be frustrating for family members who have to deal with this. But she could have gone to a lawyer, had it printed out, signed it, not used a smiley face, although that ultimately, I guess, was okay. And stored it in someplace obvious, in a desk, in a cabinet, in something that, people would look, because someone dies and someone, family members are going to come through and look, people look for their children, their grandchildren, their niece, their nephew, they go through and they have to look and try to find, piece together this person's life, and she should have put it somewhere. And, she had, I think, what was it, pancreatic cancer? Like, she probably knew for a while that, that's such a terrible disease that it was going to be fatal. And she should have taken that time and done a will with a lawyer, signed in for the witnesses, and told her kids, hey, look, this is where I keep the will. This is my, this is how it's going to go. You're going to get this, you're going to get that. And they would have avoided all this acrimony. So, that anyone can do that. You don't have to be, have the, be an amazing singer or famous or wealthy even to just do the basic things that she failed to do here.
I got it. Okay. That's what we need to know. Well,
Yeah.
as always, absolute pleasure. We appreciate you bestowing your expertise on us, brother. Where can folks reach you?
Yeah, you could forsterlawfirm.com, Forster spelled Forster. That's my website. You can email me at michael@forsterlawfirm.com. All the contact info is there. I'm located in DC. You can set up an appointment on my website, or you can send me an email, or you can call me 202-400-2489. And yeah, I do wills, probates, and other issues. So happy to help anybody who wants to give me a call.
And he will not do handwritten documents.
No, I will not do handwritten documents at all. You have to promise me that you won't leave it in the couch after I draft it. Show it some respect.
That's right.
To pardon the pun.
Oh, I see what you did there.
I had to work at least one into the video, so I waited till the end to work it.
Did not respect the paperwork.
Yeah, exactly. She should have showed her will the same respect that she demanded for herself. So
right. That's right. I got it. All right, man. Good stuff.
right.
Well, as always, great pleasure, man. Thanks again. See you next time.
Thank you.